Today's daily word is Revelation. More specifically, the book of Revelation. You've heard me say this before. The book of Revelations is one of the most incredible books in the Bible. Because the book of Revelations is basically a testimony, and it says this, the testimony of Jesus Christ. And the book of Revelations outlines the history of what's going to be taking place for God's people. And it also talks about what will happen to those who aren't God's people and who don't conform to the ways of the Lord. Yes, a lot of things in Revelations, the book of Revelation, is metaphorical or symbolic or straightforward. And the key is to seeing, trying to figure out what's straightforward, what is metaphorical, or what is being symbolized when you look at the book of Revelations. But I want to just say, I want all people that hear my voice, don't be scared of the book of Revelations. Just look at it, read it, and try to understand that it's really describing a timeline and story of God's people. And why I want to talk about the book of Revelations today is because as we go through the book of Revelations and as it gets closer to the end, there's a new age that we have to look forward to. You got to think the world is set up in many different ages. Different ages, different ages, different ages. And all of these prophesied things had to happen during whatever age period it is. But at some point, this age has to come to an end. And what better way for it to come to an end without outlining and visually and graphically looking at the story of God's people and this world and the changes that can manifest after this period is over with. So when you hear these vials was poured out in the air, or when you hear that an angel came down and spoke to somebody, or when you hear that certain people or certain events will happen, and look at these events and signs and things of that nature to kind of figure out where we are in this world at this time as it relates to the book of Revelation. When it talks about the seven churches, and it basically the seven churches of Asia, we've talked about this on many occasions, is really the belief system of all of the people in the world. You're going to identify with one of these seven churches. There's no question about it. And you might fall into a couple of the churches depending, but more specifically, you're going to want one of these churches, you're going to be able to identify with that. And that belief system. When we talk about church, we talk about belief system. Like I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in his doctrine. I love him to death. I try to follow his doctrine. I try to use his great example of how I should be. That's the church that I follow. And my belief system. And one of the seven churches, it fits that belief system. But just like all the other churches, there's warnings There's pros and cons and warnings of how, if you're doing good, continue to do good. If you're not doing good, repent, say you're sorry for what you did, and you try to do better. If you don't believe in anything, okay, you don't believe in anything. You made a choice. But you got to ask yourself to explain all the great things that's happened in the world. If you think you're the end all be all for everything, and it's nothing, you're the one that made it. You think you that lucky? You that lucky that you made it and a whole lot of other people didn't make it? So it's a lot of things to think about when as you go through the book of Revelation. But as you go through it, and you go through the trials and tribulations of life and how things are, there is a rainbow at the end of it, where we all going to be getting along. We're all going to love each other. We're all going to be better. We're all going to work towards things together as one. We're not going to be so separate, so separated, so divided. That's the key. That's the key to the enemy, is to divide the world, divide the brothers and sisters from each other. That's the fight. Don't let anything divide you amongst your brothers and sisters. Jesus said something very, very profound to me. The greatest of all. He said something very profound to me. He said, he didn't come here to condemn the world, but through him the world can be saved. Think about that for a minute. The greatest said he did not come here to condemn. So guess what? If he's not coming, if he wasn't here to condemn, why do we think we can be here and condemn others? We can't. He saved us. Condemnation, we're always doing that. We're always trying to put somebody down or condemning somebody for the choices they made. Jesus, who saved everybody, if he wanted to, could have condemned. But he didn't come to condemn nobody. So why do we think we're able to condemn, or it's okay for us to condemn, or people we know to condemn others? You know those in mind your own business? Unless you're trying to help somebody, that's how you should be. Somebody might be gay. Somebody might be a garbage truck driver. Whatever. You don't judge nobody for what they're doing. But that's not saying that you can't communicate with somebody and you can't give advice or you can't help somebody. But condemning somebody for their life choices, God gave us all free will. Never forget that. So I gave you free will and you're doing something that I don't approve of, me personally. How can I condemn you and God gave you free will? Let's talk about that. God gave you free will. How can I condemn you? How can I condemn your free will? I can't. Now you see the things that we have to do to better ourselves, to allow us to live more righteously, to allow us to live more how it's supposed to be. You live your life, you try to be good, you try to do the right things by your brothers and sisters. You don't condemn your brothers and sisters, you don't judge your brothers and sisters, because we haven't been given that authority. Guess what authority we were given? All of us. We were given the authority to have free will. We were given the authority of free will. You just hope that with the free will and the advisement and the knowledge and communication you might get of others might lead you in a proper direction, that leads you in a righteous direction and make you a great brother and sister to all of your brothers and sisters throughout the world. It's not complex. You know what makes stuff complex? Is when we go against for no reason, or we place judgment on things. Let's keep it simple. Love your brothers and sisters unconditionally. No matter what they do, you love your brothers and sisters. If they do something worthy of judgment, guess who's going to be able to deal with that situation? God. But I'm not going to judge nobody, and I'm not going to condemn nobody, because I don't have authority to do that, and neither do none of you. Especially when somebody has free will. And like I said, if we keep our nose out of other people's business and assist when we can assist, help those in need, help your brothers and sisters, try to direct kids and others who might be trying to go down the wrong path. There's nothing wrong with that's not condemning them, and that's not judging them. Giving advice, hey, you know what, I see that you're going this route. You might not want to do that because, kids or people that do that, they end up this way. Just want to highlight and want to tell you that, want to help you. But guess what that ultimate decision is? That person's making that ultimate decision. You ain't do nothing wrong by giving advisement. You ain't do nothing wrong helping somebody out in need, helping the poor, the elderly, the widows, the orphans. It's not that difficult. It's really simplistic. Really simplistic. Love your brothers and sisters unconditionally. Unconditionally. Talk to you soon. God bless.